Hello. It's me, Monica Gurule. I am coming to you today. Um, I am coming to you today by from my home. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to set up and not be weird. Today is the new moon for um, Taurus. It's a new moon at 7 degrees Taurus. It's kind of exciting. And so, thank you for being patient with me. I missed the last two cycles of the new moon and the full moon, so I'm sorry for that. But today I'm doing the new moon in Taurus. Um, and after all the retrogrades are over, thank goodness, because the retrogrades were kicking our butts. Um, and I'm I'm doing this live for Resonance Essentials. My name is Monica Gurule, and I'm usually at the psychic fair when I'm there. So if you want to drop by and say hi, let me know. We also have an astrology group that meets the third Saturday of every month, from 1 to 3. This Saturday we have a special guest presenter. Um, we have a special guest presenter. Um, huh, why is that making noise at me? There we go. Tell it to shush. So we have a special guest presenter. His name is Jason Hawley. He's doing the astrology of sect, SECT, not SEX. It's going to be sect seat time with. That's what I call it. It's actually the astrology of day and night with Jason Hawley, and you can contact us for the fee. It's going to be 25 for the group members and 35 for non-members. And he's a well-known local astrologer. He's very engaging as a speaker, so I do recommend you go see him. But right now we're doing the full moon, or no, the new moon forecast, not the full moon. We're not ready for the full moon yet. Full moon in Scorpio. Woo! And if you're in chat, I want to apologize. Um, I can't really see chat with the program I'm using, and the reason I'm using this program is so that I can share the chart that I'm looking at, so I'm not just sitting here blabbing, staring at you, making faces, which, I think most people would prefer to see the chart and see what we're talking about and see what's going on. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger so that people can see it better. Yeah, that might be better. So, yeah, I hope that you can see it better there that way, because this is the chart that I'm going to be using. So, this is the chart for today at 1:30 p.m. So today is the 27th of April. And for the new moon forecast, I'm trying to change it up a little bit because the previous forecasts were a little long, a little hefty. And so this one is hopefully going to be short and sweet, nothing more than 30 minutes. We're going to hope and cross our fingers and hope real good, okay? We're going to try hard at that because today the new moon is going to be for new beginnings in practical matters. So Taurus is all about, practical things, but it's also about love and beauty. And at 7 degrees Taurus, the Sabian symbol is a sleigh without snow. So it sort of spells the end of certain things. It's really about the coming of spring and getting celebrated, the middle of spring. This is very close to the critical point. You can see the midheaven here at 14 degrees. A man with a rakish silk hat muffled braves the storm. So that's the 15-degree Taurus Sabian symbol. Um, so the Sabian symbol at 15 degrees of fixed signs, or not the Sabian symbols, just the degree of 15 degrees of fixed signs is very important in astrology. That's the Bicross of May Day, Halloween, St. Bridget's Day, and then that one in August that's like in the middle of August, in the beginning of August, that's real, you know, long summer days. It's the first harvest celebration. So, in this one, we're acknowledging and celebrating the Taurus energy. Taurus is very, it's not necessarily a gentle sign, but it's not um, a rough and tumble sign either. It's it's a creature comfort sign, but it's still the creature, and you don't want to challenge too many Tauruses in your life during the new moon. This moon cycle is actually pretty good for Geminis because you guys have Jupiter going through your sun sign, and so you're having a little bit of uplift there. Um, we are right smack dab in the middle of that Pluto Mars opposition. If you could see where my little X pointer is, you see Mars here, and then go all the way across. You see Pluto. Yeah, so it's been a spicy experience for everybody with the Mars Pluto energies, especially Mars and Leo and Pluto and Aquarius. It's like the people versus the king, and the king is aggressive and because I mean that's the symbolism of the principal parties. Aquarius is the people, while Leo is royalty. And so it's the power of the people versus the anger of the king. And so it's rock formations form at the edge of a precipice. Yeah, it's some people might say that they've had enough of whoever's the lord and obnoxious person in their life, and it's more about what's going to happen to whatever they're doing. It's more about what's good for everybody as opposed to good for the one individual. And I see myself in the group thingy, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have worn makeup. I thought the hat would do it. It doesn't cover everything. That's a very Taurus concern, that I'm not looking pretty enough. But that's okay, because that's a new moon. We have still Saturn at the North Node, so that Saturn practical energy with the restrictive religious and spiritual practices, it's a lesson in those, especially with the trine over here, this out of sign trine to the Mars. It's Saturn is all about lessons and doing the responsible thing. And so when you have a spiritual practice that is somewhat restrictive, it's a question of whether you need to reevaluate those restrictions, because the point is to have a spiritual practice, not to be tied to it, and to re-examine it and not view it as, say, perhaps maybe you think of it as restrictive, or you don't realize that it is restrictive in many ways. And so this Saturn and Venus is really softening up. The Venus is really softening up that Saturn, but that Saturn is pretty harsh when it comes to Pisces, and this is the Pisces right here. And so Venus is out of retrograde. We won't have a Venus conjunction with the Sun again for quite some time. So the Kazimi isn't coming yet. And the Kazimi is just a fancy astrological term to label the conjunction of the Sun and the planet Venus, and so it's either a morning star and an evening star sign. Right now, the Venus is in a morning star position, so she's been in a morning star all this time. after a while, after the next conjunction, she'll turn into an evening star. And so, um, this finding our spiritual practices restrictive is something really important to reevaluate and find if they're having a negative effect on our life, or if they're not restrictive enough and we need to be a little more ritualized, and connect with them better. Um, so like it's and I use the word restrictive, but it's being more connected and grounded with the practice as well. And so, we sometimes forget that spirituality is also physical related, especially in this modern world. But I think that's what one of the beauties of Resin Essentials is that the school is here to teach us that our spiritual practices are our physical practices, and our physical practices are our spiritual practices. And so that's what the Saturn North Node conjunction is really teaching us. And now we have Neptune in Aries, so it's going to be hot, 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 spicy, spicy, spicy. And that's a different sign. We're going to be hearing a lot more about angry young people, angry particularly men who are struggling, and we need to recognize that men can also be victims, and that's what Neptune and Aries is going to teach us in this moment. That's what I recognize for Neptune and Aries to do. It's going to be a lot of different things, but that's just the one thing that comes to mind, especially since he makes no actual other contacts besides this Venus out of sign conjunction. So it's like he's sort of floating along all by himself without real connections with anyone. And the same with Chiron, and so that's why I say that it might be wounding. So, just keep an eye out for news headlines that might be saying that. They won't have anything to do with you, but that's one of the best ways to see astrology play out. Because for Aries people, they've been going through this for a while. Chiron has been in Aries forever, it seems, since for at least 10 years. Since 2011, I believe, or 2007. I could double check that, but I'm not going to. It's been a long time. It's been many, many years since Chiron entered Aries. And he'll be leaving Aries, but not before Saturn goes through it, because there will be a Saturn conjunction Aries later in the next couple of years. And Uranus is at Algol, so this is not actually as pretty as the chart is. There's actually a lot of harsh aspects in it, and we want to be prepared for that. Algol is the head of Medusa, the severed head of Medusa held by Perseus. So if you're familiar with the mythology, Medusa was violently assaulted in the temple of Athena, and Athena was disgusted by this and turned her into something that turns all men into a Gorgon, who turns all men into stone, any man who would look upon her. And so Perseus snuck up on her by looking at her reflection rather than looking at her directly, and beheaded her because she became a monster after this. And so that point is in Taurus. 26 Taurus. It's actually not going to be exact for a little while, but it's on the degree. Where's no, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, well, I don't want to change it from the screen because I have it so nice and neat and pretty up there. So yeah, it's when Uranus went into Taurus, it was an indicator of difficult financial markets, and so at this point, it's going to be like challenging the head of the financial markets. So they're sort of going to get topped off, and so in a personal life, it's very much dependent on one's own chart. Like for me, this is square my sun. And so for someone who has this in their personal chart, they've been going through it for the past 7 years, and they'll later this year they'll be out of it, out of this transit. And so it's something that's been ongoing that's coming to a culmination now at this point. It's not a happy point, but it's also a point that, must be recognized and acknowledged. So 7 degrees Taurus. For those of us that this happens in our angular houses, it's really about how we present ourselves and how we connect with other people, and how we view ourselves. For those of us who are going to have it in our succedent houses, which is the 2, 5, 8, 11, it's about our value system and what really holds true. And we're recognizing that that's what's goes through is like our personal values versus our public values and our values with society, as opposed to what we value personally in our personal lives. And people don't actually recognize that this is so connected, but sometimes you recognize somebody who is very caring towards the public generally, and is constantly helping people out and does a million charitable donations, but in their personal life they're kind of a jerk. This is a period when someone like that would have a reevaluation. And if this is you, it's not necessarily that same dynamic. I'm just making an example. If it happens in your cadent houses, it's really about your daily life and your understanding of the world and self, and your spiritual practices. It's all about understanding. So that's the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th houses if it's your cadent houses. And it's it's more about connecting with what you understand about yourself and the world around you, and processing that in a different way. And so it could be how you approach your daily life, or how you approach your short trips. Maybe it could just be like you're going to clean your car. But this is a good time to recognize and do all those things that are really important to you, but you don't make the time or the effort for them as a part of personal journeys and personal understandings. So it's a good time to actually look into things and read about stuff, and learn new things and change things up in your private life, in your daily comings and goings. So those are the main 3. I'm not sure if that worked for me. I still feel like I'm missing out on some of the stuff. But that's the forecast for now, doing it by houses. It helps if you know which houses are where and where Taurus falls on your chart. And if you don't know that, I will be doing a beginner's astrology class with the center coming up in this summer sometime. And we also have the Albuquerque astrology group that you can also learn from our peers there if you want to. And so I hope to see people there, and I hope that this went well for everyone.